Actually, okay, thank you.
Is there no one on the?
Is there anybody on the screen?
Jake.
Yeah, Jake Granito here.
Hey, Jake, how are you?
Good. How are you guys?
Hi,
Good,
Jake.
welcome.
Thanks for having me.
First order of business is to approve the minutes from our meeting on May 8th, 2024. If there are motions to approve, Mr. Francesca, is there a second? Second. Okay, all those in favor? Jean?
Jean's here too.
Jean, all right.
Needs to check in.
Jean, you just have to send off roll call. There we go. Okay. All right, so the motion carries. Okay, next is the Waveney Conservancy. Welcome, Michelle.
Charles will also speak tonight too. So,
Okay.
good format if I say here, or should I? Say
Wherever you feel comfortable.
You're fine there.
Okay, yeah. Well, thanks for having us tonight. It's great to have, this is actually my first annual recap because it's almost about 11 months since I started with the Conservancy. So, it's been nice to see through a whole 4-season cycle. I just want to start with a little bit of background. I think everyone is pretty familiar with our mission. We can still consider that our mission to preserve and maintain and improve the park in perpetuity for the community. We purposely choose the word community. Are we up?
Yeah, you're up.
Great. Because we do know that we do serve a wider group than specifically New Canaan, and I would say that maybe increasing. We were founded in 2015, so we're going to be coming up on a 10th anniversary next year. We work in close partnership with the town. We serve as the primary external advocate for the park. And we were really founded in the belief that the citizens' leadership and private donors are really what's key to ensuring the park can flourish. I'm just going to walk you through a couple of things that were accomplished in 2023. And some of these rolled over into early 24. We received the town's $300,000 allocation. Not all of that has been spent. We've withheld some of that for some large projects that are upcoming. I came on board as executive director in July of 23. We have been trying to continue to make sure that the maintenance is at the highest possible standard, and we have experienced some very considerable maintenance increases. Part of that goes together hand in hand with the capital projects that we complete. So when we do something like the restoration of the pond or the meadow, we then take on the associated maintenance, both managing it and most of the costs. So that comes out of our annual budget. The newsletter, we've been working on our communications, and so we've improved the regularity of our newsletters. We've been more visible on social media. We've just recently had a donor appreciation event. So we're really trying to keep the visibility growing. And then we were able to raise over 360,000 of donations, which we think is a record. The projects that were completed were the completion of the service area, which, as you all probably know, was a long time coming, but had been planned several years prior, got held up for a little while during COVID and some of the supply chain disruptions. And then Tiger and his team were able to move that forward last year. And I arrived just in time to really see the final touches on that and the plantings going into place. We've come up with a kind of working idea that we'd like to rename that area the Garden Gate, because it now really is much bigger than a service area. It's it's a lovely plaza. It's an area that connects the fountain. It connects the parterre, and so it feels sort of like the final piece of a puzzle of a larger area that was always. The walled garden roofs were done in partnership with the Garden Club. The Everly Fountain, I think everyone knows, was brought up to its former glory and is looking great. And then Art in the Park began with the first two benchmarks arriving in the first two benchmark sculptures. Hopefully everybody has seen them by now. We've been trying to.
You mean the benches?
Yeah, the benches.
The benches.
We call them benchmarks. That's our way of referring to them, because they really are sculptures, but they also serve as benches and are meant to be interacted with and sat on, and hopefully not graffitied too often.
The daffodils above the sledding hill. I didn't know that.
Oh, you didn't catch those this year?
Beautiful.
Is that what the photo is of?
Yes, that's right above, yeah. At the bottom of the stairs, just where that
That.
ridge is, right?
Right?
Yeah.
Gorgeous.
Which also I think helps with, not that that's a tricky area to mow because it's such a steep slope, so it forestalls the mowing issue for a little while.
Yes, win-win.
So the, just going a little bit more into what we now calling Garden Gate, the dumpster issue was solved, which was the the visibility of the dumpsters really didn't make for a very inviting entrance for a lot of wedding parties or event parties, or really any visitor. So that's now much less visible. The patio has created an ADA accessible entry, which was a great benefit to the park. It now connects down the lower parking area that's close to the powerhouse. There's a stairway down with the iron rails. And then the two benches on that plaza, that Bluestone Plaza, were repurposed from the old Waveney Oak that came down in 2022, I think, 2022. Looking ahead, we have some pretty ambitious plans. We are very close to signing a contract to begin design work with Heritage Landscapes on a schematic for how we could remediate the Merritt Parkway Trail in terms of noise and visibility of the parkway. Something we've been talking about for a while. We are probably within a week of an agreed contract for them to begin their design work. And perhaps as early as the end of the year, we'll start having some schematics to talk about in terms of what can lay ahead. We are also close to starting an invasives remediation project, which would tackle the area just around the perimeter of the Gentian Meadow. So Gentian Meadow itself has some invasives, which are typically mugwort, sometimes Phragmites periodically, and things like that. But this would be more shrub-like invasives that inhabit the understory of the woodlands surrounding. So we've marked out the wetlands area. Tiger is working together with RPW for any small amount of surveying that needs to be done, and then hopefully we will get that going along with Pennington Gray is the firm that will do that work for us. And we really see that as a pilot for a bigger amount of invasives management. If we like the way the results go, we think it's a good use of funds, we could potentially raise funds and roll that out elsewhere. There is a plan to, at some point this year, install some plants, some more landscaping around the foundation of the covered porch in front of Waveney House. That is on hold until we figure out exactly what's happening with some trees in that area. So when we know exactly what that parking area and some trees and some of the shade characteristics, then we'll design that. And that sort of touches on the next point as well, working with Department of Public Works on that west parking lot. We're consulting pretty closely with Tiger to make sure that they have as much conservancy input as is appropriate to make sure it's very integrated with what's going on. The Arbor plan was presented a month or two ago, and we have some commentary coming through on that, but there are some trees that have started to be removed, but I think most of that is not going to happen imminently. That's also a long-range plan that Keith Simpson Associates have put together. Yeah, go ahead.
Where's the arbor?
Oh, arbor is just the trees in the park. So referring to
All the trees in the.
not all the trees essentially in the area closer to the house, behind the house, in the parking areas, and in front of the house. Some along the driveway as well. So there are some trees that were identified along the driveway as having some safety hazards.
I see.
But the idea is to obviously minimize any tree removals to what is really considered appropriate. Some of that's aesthetic, but a lot of it is safety related, just the age of the trees. And then you're looking at what's the next 50 years like, and are we anticipating what the park should look like in terms of tree replacements as well. So we're going to have a lot of beech loss. We have already had ash loss. We've had, certain whole species of trees are really dying out in the park. So more generally, we're going to have to be contemplating what resilient trees can go in where we might think it's appropriate to add trees. That's in the arbor plan. That was.
So Tom,
Yeah, that's a good question.
Okay.
We co-funded the arbor plan, together with the town. So 50/50
I
split.
see. Thank you.
And if anybody would like to see a copy of that, it is available. The third benchmark sculpture has been commissioned, so the same artist who did the first two he's called Nigel Ross, and he's based out of Scotland. He has already identified a piece of fallen oak, and is beginning to design and create that sculpture. Getting it here is sometimes a little bit challenging, so I'm not gonna promise a date, but we're hoping maybe by the end of the year, and we probably have a better, potentially by fall. There's a continued focus on our awareness, building visibility. You may at some point this year see some bumper stickers around town, maybe a bit of, banners here and there, but we're continuing to build awareness. And foremost in that is we've redesigned our website, so we'll be launching an improved website. And then the last piece of that will be in 2025, we are planning a major gala fundraiser, and that would be in September 6th is the date we've circled. And Charles is actually going to touch on that. Before we jump to the gala, any questions on activities planned for
Just-
this coming year?
The Caffeine and Car Raiders event in October, some of the proceeds from the cars are gonna go towards the Waveney Conservancy. Has all those details been worked out?
Not really, no. We would love to move that forward, and we may need some coordination with Parks and Rec. potentially.
They did
For-
the spring event that they had. Is this weekend?
I think it's
Yeah,
coming up.
They're doing the same type of thing. They're having cars register and that's going to the community foundation.
Community Foundation?
Is that on Father's Day?
It is.
I believe so.
In town.
Wow. Well, I think
Good time.
Fun, yeah.
fall event in October, they made it so that the proceeds would go towards
Exactly.
Waveney Conservancy.
And since they're doing the spring one, I think it won't be a problem.
Okay.
John, is there a mechanism set up for them to receive at this point, with a week to go, they must have taken the receipts.
Yeah, I don't know how they're doing it.
Because they were somewhat reluctant to have that come into their current structure.
Yeah, I don't know how they're doing it, but
We were
they're
gonna leave
supposed to be
that
doing it.
until after this current event, then, because I think they committed to 20,000.
Right, but you have a point of contact at Caffeine and
Yes,
Car Raiders,
yes.
okay, and then, okay,
Yeah, and the special events committee,
okay,
we postponed our meeting from tomorrow to next week.
Mhm.
So that we could review how the one town went.
okay.
So Claire Drexler, who was the one who presented the event, I know when you approved the single event in the park.
Correct.
she Remains, I think, the primary contact for us.
Okay. Okay.
Thanks for checking on that.
My big thing is, sorry.
I didn't mean to interrupt. I have a question, but.
Yeah, go ahead.
So about the arbor plan,
Mhm.
I know like some trees, like the Norwegian maple have been deemed to be invasive.
Right,
We've got other issues like the trees along the way in, people don't like, some people don't like them. I think they're great because they slow
slow
drive
people down.
down and they're calming. I'm a huge fan of sugar maples because they're indigenous. Some people don't love them. And I'm no expert, but is it, how final is any plan you come up with? You have to coordinate with the tree warden and
Yes.
with John, and how does that work?
100%. I mean, we only work in partnership with the town, so John and Bob, we don't undertake any tree work anyway.
Yeah.
So that would not be under our purview. We can comment on the tree planning, but it is very much in partnership with the town.
The tree warden has the ultimate control of the trees. in the park.
Yes.
And he's involved in this. It's still kind of in a draft stage. It hasn't been
Is the tree
finalized.
warden?
Bob Haran,
Bob who?
Bob Haran. He, I forget who he's working for now, but he used to, own Bruce Folly Tree Service. He worked for him for years, and then when Bruce decided he was moving to Vermont, he bought the company's business from him.
Okay.
Keith, if I have to add to that, the background to it is a town project as opposed to a conservancy project that has come out of ARPA funding. And I believe they have a couple 100,000, of which hundreds for the town, hundreds for Waveney. And there is a plan, it's very much in draft format. Speaking to your specific point, we have been very strongly gone back and said, we don't want these trees cut down along the driveway unless they're absolutely perceived as a safety risk.
Yeah.
So that means the ones that are incredibly healthy, haven't been impacted by cars that sit on the corner, won't be coming down. Bob's already,
But I think they're really,
they lend to the character.
That's considered traffic calm. That slows the traffic down better than anything else we can do,
Yeah. Oh,
so.
better than any speed bump or anything.
Mhm.
Okay, well, great, thank you.
Yeah, they want,
The gala.
you want to speak to the.
So very briefly on Gate, and the proposal is that we do it on September the sixth next year. And the tentative plan is to do a sort of farm style table, which is essentially one long table for up to 300 people. Subject, it's subject to detailed planning, but that's the goal. Because we face increasing number of not-for-profits in town that have really raised their game, finding sponsors is increasingly difficult, but we do have this fantastic resource of both the park and the house. So what we would like to do is to be, I should back up and say, our minimum goal is to raise 200,000, our stretch is 500 plus. So it's a major fundraising for the town and Waverley Park. But we can't really do that without offering something kind of special to sponsors, and we're thinking of going outside some of the, the obvious local suspects who always get tapped. With that in mind, what we'd like to be able to do is to offer as one benefit to the senior sponsors, say Garden Form, Down and Gold, is the opportunity to host an event at Waverley free of charge. Now, they would pay all the direct costs, which would mean, or Waverley will have to cover Butch, but they wouldn't actually pay a fee for the house. The benefit being is that they obviously they get a special benefit of the house. But it also, I would suggest, it's actually a way to introduce other companies to the benefits of using the house and may even be customers for us going forward. We think it would be a maximum of, say, 8 sponsors who would do that, and we're suggesting anything from sort of 20 to 100 people. Only on a Monday through Thursday evening, recognizing that the house tends to be used and rented on Friday, Saturdays. And that's it in a nutshell.
Is there a rain date necessary for this?
Yeah, that's a fair question, which we've gone backwards and forwards on. John is reluctant for us to have a rain date because it is peak wedding season. And
Well,
I
no,
think,
no, we're talking about September now,
yes,
but still, yeah.
and
There
we've
isn't a rain
decided
date
that
available, unfortunately.
we've decided that we're going to have a tent on standby, which we'll pay there's basically a deposit you pay. If we need it, they can bring it in a heartbeat. And if it's raining, okay, so it's raining, we have a tent and we'll go with it. If it's a really, a hurricane, well, we'll have to rethink, but it's hard, yeah. So we're taking it.
Thank you. Regarding the sponsors too, the town ordinance and the board of selectmen have to approve that. Okay. On the sponsors. In recent conversations with the first selectman's office, they reaffirmed that they want to have control of that. Okay.
Oh, I'm sorry, of using the house?
Not using the house, but sponsors, anything that's considered a commercialized or some type of activity, they want to have say so. So what I would suggest is once you have the game plan, who the sponsors are and what the format is, can they contact Deanna's office?
Yeah, sure.
To chat with her about it. I mean, I think it sounds like a great idea. I totally understand why you need that underwriting. But recently, this came to light as not anything specific to the Waverley Conservancy, because we are putting together a new code of conduct policy for the parks, okay, all the parks. We had to review a number of ordinances in this area. And it had nothing to do with Waverley Conservancy, just in terms of if a nonprofit wants to have some kind of a sale or food trucks or anything, they have to be involved in that. And Deanna recently reaffirmed that she wanted to make sure that her office had control of that.
So does that mean that, just for clarification, when we have our garden party where we had sponsors, we should have gone to Deanna first to get permission?
Yeah.
Because, okay, that
She
does,
was there. She was there.
Yeah, you guys recently had the experience too, yeah.
we do actually, we will address, we do need to address, and we actually propose that we have a meeting, because there are some ways which we think we could be significantly more efficient.
Sure, and I think it's like I said, I think if you have our
Yeah.
universal support, there's no issues with that. And I know that you're eager to move, but once you have the, you have a written down game plan that you can present to them.
We have,
Then I would suggest you schedule a meeting, with them and get it on their agenda. It's not, I don't think it's gonna be a big deal. I mean, your plant sale went through without an issue, okay?
we-
So.
That was
it-
our-
it's
that
not-
was our club.
The Garden Club sale. But it is, again, having reviewed a number of the ordinances in town, we have to sort of comply with that. So the rationale behind these ordinances is that we don't want the parks to turn into Mall of America, okay? Where at every event, there's somebody trying to hawk something, and not that I'm trying to impugn your good works, no. But it's just, you could have a variety of different vendors out there that could create issues. Yeah,
Sorry, not a bell, but do you need sponsors? So we're going to have our.
Yeah.
Yeah, when you say vendors and sponsors, I don't know that
Yeah.
we think of them as the
So
same.
we need like underwriters for events? Is every underwriter has to be
No.
approved before? they-
No, not really. You can't sell anything in the parks.
Right.
What it really comes down to, the same reason you had to have approval for.
Right,
Right.
but you,
but we're not going to be selling anything.
Right.
they're just gonna have people, their ads are probably gonna be in the brochure,
Yeah,
and they're gonna get in exchange,
They'll
they're
get
gonna get use of the house.
I think the best thing is to include Deanna in it, not necessarily the whole board of selectmen to start it with, but keep her involved in what you want to do.
keep her involved.
So that
she's
she
on
knows.
board, she's
Yeah,
involved with.
yeah.
Correct, exactly.
Yeah,
That's how it works. So I understand, it's not to throw any kind of a hurdle at you, it's just to kind of, and it's a point of explanation, because this has come up recently. Do that.
Okay.
I mean, we can certainly, if we can bring it to a vote here, and just, if you wanna say. We discussed with Park and Rec, they were supportive of it, we can do that.
Help, from where I sit, it's a huge benefit to the house, because we can
Sure.
hopefully introduce
Absolutely.
folks like BMW who may come up and say, hey, we'd like to pay you for the next one.
Charles, there's no resistance, it's just.
Yeah.
It's just.
Yeah, just-
rule.
It's just,
No, I understand.
it's town government.
Yeah.
Good. So is there a motion? Or-
Sure.
I approve.
All right,
Okay.
motion,
Well, I move that we approve.
And I'll second.
and you'll second, all those in favor? Opposed?
Thank you.
Jake, how do you weigh in?
Jake had to leave.
So you gotta leave,
He's
okay.
off, that's what I should
So the
say.
motion carries.
Thank you.
So,
Great.
so again, just, I would
check in.
check in where you've got our full support, just check in with her office. Like I said, you're not selling anything. I don't see a big deal on this one, but we have to be
Yeah.
mindful of that. The same way, I guess the ice rink is probably a good example of that. They wanted to put some advertising on the inside of the boards, which we approved, but then the board of selectmen at the time voted it down.
yeah.
No, I understand.
So,
All right,
Just
well,
to kind of
ice
see
is
it.
only going to be once every 10 years.
right. And it sounds like an exciting event.
Yeah,
That's
I mean,
great.
we really
Well,
haven't had a major event since 2017, so.
Right.
it's well overdue,
Fantastic.
and we're grateful to be able to.
Is there any other questions?
Part. Yep,
So I'm sure the turf plans at Copperfield are underway. I was just curious in terms of your views about, do you have any specific concerns, sort of long-term, beyond like the Copperfield project, about the idea of expansion of turf grass and Waveney being the conservancy that you might like to share with us or any of the bodies that might have input on future plans for turf expansion in Waveney?
that's, technically, we really have no input on anything on the north side of the driveway, which includes all the fields. So really, our domain is on the other side of the driveway and the house and the landscaping. Obviously, with, individuals would have views about keeping the park beautiful, but it probably wouldn't be appropriate for us to comment on the playing fields.
Okay.
Any other questions? Well, thank you for the terrific work that you all are doing. Certainly enhances the park and creates great value. And as we've seen, as the data, I think it was one of our last meetings, over 260,000 people visit the park every year. So,
Yeah.
so I think it is appreciated.
Well, thanks for your
Good
support.
luck on the fundraiser.
Yeah, I love the benches. God, I love the benches.
Good,
Good.
good, yeah. Yeah, more to come, and I mean, we will have this third and then potentially a fourth and fifth, if we can find the sponsors, so.
It really elevates the park.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
Thanks so much. You're more than welcome to stay for the rest of the meeting.
Thanks.
All right. Thanks, guys. Wendy, welcome, and I don't know.
And Julie Marcus.
Julie Marcus, how are you? Nice to see you. So welcome, the floor is yours, and we're excited to learn what the great work you guys are doing.
We have no slide presentation, sorry.
Real slackers after that.
But you can all walk down to the garden later and take a peek if you
There
want.
you go.
So the Garden Club has had another busy year, and we're gonna highlight just a few of our bigger civic projects. First, Irwin Park. We are still in the process of working out the final details of the Woodland Hub and extension of the existing path into the wetlands. We are hopeful this project will eradicate invasives which have taken over this patch of the park. We will be including native wetland plants in our project and educating the public on their importance in our ecosystem. This will be a long-term project. We are working on the final budget and fundraising. We continue to manage the planting of the daffodils, which exceeds 1,500 at this time. And that's a joint project with the town. Waveney Wall Garden. We replaced the existing but ragged rose hedge with a new short hedge this year. We enlarged certain beds of the garden and added a lot of new plant material. We are awaiting 3 new benches, which will be replicas of the original benches. We are hoping that we will get some assistance in fixing both the gates, which are now unfortunately broken. One was vandalized and the other is just wear and tear. Shoot. We are also working with the town to replace the missing and aged finials. There are some drainage issues which have caused parts of the brick walkway to sag and pull water. We hope to work on that with the town in the coming year. The Colonial Herb Garden at the New Canaan Historical Society Museum. We have done a complete overhaul of this garden. We replaced fencing and have dug out a good percentage of the overgrown herbs and replaced them with new historically accurate selections. We are in the process of adding signage and hope that the Historical Society will be starting to bring students up on their field trips to the museum and then back to the garden. Our club still works monthly at Waveney Care Center with its residents, doing a variety of floral activities and providing flowers for their dining room. We also run a weekly floral drop-off at the inn, which we call Flowers on Wheels. This year, our civic fundraiser, the Reimagined Market, as you may remember, we held a sale of gently used pots and vases, which we replanted. We held the sale at the carriage barn in the courtyard, and it was a success. We raised over $4,000. The club has collaborated on part of the Nature and Environmental Coalition on several town projects, including helping to fundraise the speaker, Jeff Speck, and the purchase of a new oak tree for Bristow Bird Sanctuary. We enjoy collaborating with this committee and think it is a terrific way for our clubs to join forces. Lastly, we are planning to host another garden tour next June 5th. We will have 4 gardens on the tour. They will be from our membership. Last year's tour was a great success, and we're excited to host it again in 2025. Yes.
A new oak at Bristow?
Yes.
Tell me, are you talking about the entrance oak?
Yes, so they took down, if you saw the one on the road,
Did
on
they
Old
take it out?
Stanford that they took down, and if you go in about 100 feet.
It's a pretty good size,
It's a nice size oak that you planted.
Okay, thank you.
and all the groups
Yeah.
pitched there, so it was a great group project.
Was the one that was at the entrance taken to the ground or was?
No, it's still a big stump.
Yeah, I was gonna say, last I saw it was,
Okay.
Some
So the sign is still hanging on it?
sign still hanging. Years ago, that was filled with concrete. When that was in favor of a way of saving trees.
Oh, my.
So,
make it easy to take it down. eh?
yes.
And that brings us up with just listening to their far thoughts and planning for their 1.5 out event, and our event is June 5th. We are hoping that Irwin Park will be our focus for that tour, as far as, since we are going to need to raise quite a bit of money for the restoration of that area. And so what we were thinking is that we would have ticket pickup at Irwin Park that day for the tour. We would set up a table, hopefully by the barn. We know it's under construction. We're hoping that there's some Wi-Fi in case we need it, and we would have the tickets, and that would be an opportunity for people to come and see Irwin Park, since we are already looking for donations. We, we will focus on it. We're hoping at that stage, and this is a year from now, that we will be far enough along and understanding the costs and everything else, that we will have something substantive to put out there to raise the funds.
Sure. When you guys are ready to have a game plan for that event, please you can contact me.
Yep.
And we'll put you on the agenda for that kind of a formal approval, for that type of event.
And do you anticipate, George, just listening to the question with the sponsors? Because we do have sponsors in our brochures and we have
Sure.
sponsors. Do you think that's something that will have to go to beyond?
Hey, the sponsors in the brochure, no.
Okay.
It's
That's all.
just banners in the park, that kind of thing, that the board of selectmen want to be involved in that.
I understand that. Yeah, no,
Yeah, it's just,
we didn't do that last year. I don't know.
We just
What?
put them in the ticket book.
I think it's just, just,
More at the properties. They're,
Yeah,
they're,
more at the
they're
property
usually on the
networks, yeah.
properties.
Um,
Permanent signs, but but they're not banners. They're like
Right.
posters listing who our sponsors are.
Is there Wi-Fi anywhere?
By the house, well, actually, I'm not sure if there's Wi-Fi. by
Well,
the house.
they're operating, because I know.
They're operating, but I'm not-
Indicators was operating, is operating there, right?
Are they operating on Wi-Fi or they tied? That's what I don't know. But I know down by the barn and it's lousy cell service too.
If there's mobile, you can create a Wi-Fi hotspot with your cell phone.
But unfortunately, the service is.
Maybe rethinking this.
Well,
There's ways to round it, possibly.
okay, we'll have to think. I mean, our hope is really was to bring people in the park, and just out of curiosity, one of our other thoughts was that we would encourage people to picnic in the park that day as part of our, spend time at Irwin. Is that something we would bring for committee approval and?
just, if it's any kind of event, yes.
Yes, okay,
So once you solidify the date, what the rain date's gonna be,
there will be none.
just, obviously, we very much appreciate and support the effort that the garden club does. And, but it can just by town ordinance, we need to approve that. And it goes another step with sponsors, you want to put up a sign saying Bankwell or Chase,
Sure.
then we probably need to involve the board of selectmen on that one.
And if we wanted to have, like a Walter Stewart's with a truck to pick up their sandwiches from, is that something that would be an issue?
There potentially is,
There is.
depending on how they're
If it's
purchasing them and
prepaid, if
everything.
it's prepaid
If they're
already?
just delivering it.
If they're just,
that-
they're not selling it, but if they're just providing lunch boxes, is that,
It can be
potential?
doable, but again,
Yeah.
like George said.
Yeah.
We have to approve
Right, we'll bring that in.
If you're
but
not
if they're not
selling
it,
anything,
not
that's
like a
fine, yeah.
food truck, but like,
Food
here's
truck
the
is a
lunch you
problem.
already paid
Yeah,
for.
here's the
then-
delivery of the.
Yeah, here's the delivery of the food.
Yeah, that's fine.
June 5th is
I
the
think
date.
June fifth,
June 5th.
June
June
fifth,
5th is the date.
2025.
Once you, like I said, if you want to have a chance to digest that and come back to it, just,
Do you meet throughout the summer, or what is your?
we meet in July, we don't meet in August, and we resume in September. So whenever you want
So
to
we
get
should
that
be on
done,
September, we should try and get on September.
you want to be on September, that's fine.
September,
Put you on it.
Yep, that would be great.
And if we need to save a date or something, June 5th is the date.
That you do have to be on our agenda to approve.
Okay.
So September,
Yes.
we get to see you again. if
You
want.
get to see us, yeah, it is.
Maybe a slide. That's not how it's supposed to be.
Yeah, and I totally understand where their company coming, so sometimes those corporate sponsors help, to pay a large part of the cost.
No, with what the costs, anticipated costs are for Irwin, we will be asking anyone and everyone to, sign up.
Is it just the signage or are there certain sponsors that you would say, oh God, not them?
Mhm.
Yes. So what kind of
could we get a
sponsors
list of
should
people
we,
that we have to
that we
avoid
should
and sign
solicit?
up?
Yeah, we don't want to solicit people that.
They'll probably be fine.
Okay.
Is my
I
gut
mean,
feeling.
our sponsors are mostly,
Real estate.
real estate
Yeah,
companies
yeah.
and, local businesses. We don't have.
Right.
We don't have far reach on. Sadly.
Gotcha.
Yes.
Question, do you have anything to do with the maintenance of Irwin House itself?
Thankfully, no, we have nothing to do with the maintenance. We're strictly,
It looks like it needs some.
yeah, we couldn't agree
A
more.
lot.
We would love to,
That's just, to me, that's every time I go to Irwin Park a lot, which you later done a great job on. But I think, when is the town gonna spend some money on that place?
We agree.
I think
Don't ask me the amount of money, but there is money that should be available starting July 1st to do some work on that. So I don't know exactly what it entails.
Wi-Fi?
a really big rabbit antenna. Just you guys have any questions on the project? Thank you for having us.
Oh, thank you. And any other questions? Well, we appreciate all the great work. you do.
Maybe we don't have anything to do with it, but it happens when you're going back in what is that, southeast corner, southwest.
That's the wetlands walk.
That's
Yes,
what we're talking
That is what we're talking
that
about.
is what you're.
Yes, that is the wetlands walk. And that area currently,
That's what you're raising money.
we're
Yes.
hoping the invasives, I mean, part of the problem is the invasives have taken over, but there wasn't access for town, as far as I understand, to really get back there to maintain taking out a lot of the invasives. So we want to open the entire area up. And then,
covered in vines.
yeah, covered in vines, taking down a lot of it, it has caused a lot of construction back there, and then create a way to expand a walkway through there. Which
I look
we have
forward to
finished,
that.
I think,
It's
all
gonna
of
be
our,
great.
all of our leaps with town on that. Now it's really funding and working on budgets.
Right.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Right.
We'll let you go over the meeting. Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you
Yeah,
very much.
appreciate you coming.
Have a nice
See you
summer.
in September. Okay, next on the agenda, Melanie and Tim. Thank you.
All right, so, we met with John, we got a good feedback from the YMCA for programs, so overall, we hope we covered all the bases, we're happy to take any questions at the end. From an operational standpoint, the pool opened in Memorial Day weekend, it was well attended, and overall the system is starting very well. In terms of lifeguards, there are 55 lifeguards on staff. John is very happy with the target. And the goal is to hire enough lifeguards to ensure there's a perfect coverage at all times. Towards the end of the season, a lot of these lifeguards start returning to college at different times.
Right.
And so this number of hires allows for the pool to be well covered in terms of lifeguards throughout the end of the season. Also, the lifeguards are constantly rotating posts, moving around the pool, and this is done to ensure there's a very proactive approach to oversight. So there's a lot of, training and guidance as these lifeguards join the Venco pool. The locker rooms, these rooms have been painted and the lockers have been power washed to start the season. And there is a cleaning attendant in the locker rooms all day, Friday through Sundays and holidays, and twice a day during the rest of the week, which is great because this pool is very well attended, and this is going to ensure that everyone can enjoy the pool, especially at those days that are heavily attended, like the weekends and holidays. From a maintenance point of view, there are 2 autonomous pieces of equipment, the famous robots that we have talked about. Quite exciting. They run daily at night. We have a pool cleaner and we have the lawnmower. And so we have a consistent maintenance of the pool and the grounds. And the interesting thing, as John was explaining, is that because we can do that daily, mowing at night, they're very small clippings. And this makes the pool even cleaner during the day because there's less clippings, people walk around the grounds, and then when they go to the pool, so they're not carrying this inside. So this dynamic has, produced a synergy. I mean, there's also, a cleaner pool throughout the day. In terms of programs, there are a couple of programs I want to share with you. Of course, the Waveney Gators, the swim team, diving and water polo teams are back in the pool. They practice throughout the summer, and they're part of the Fairfield County Swim League. And an interesting point that we learned while speaking with John is that not every town with a public pool has a team. So this really makes a very special offering for our residents. And that was really something that we wanted to share because it's something that a lot of our kids get to enjoy in the summer and maintain their routines as well. The YMCA then offers swim lessons, and then they rent our pool for their team, the Caymans. The swim lessons, as you know, this is the second year they're gonna do it. This program is offered to all pass holders and will run this season from June 26th to August 18th. Those are 8 one-week sessions that go through Monday through Friday. Overall, the experience has been very good. Our town team, John is very happy. The YMCA has been also very, very happy with the experience. And the program is running very well. The classes are affordable for our residents, and the participants get the same coaches and the same experience that the YMCA offers throughout year round. The YMCA also manages the registration through their website, and there are currently 380 participants in the program, which represents roughly a 74% of the total number of participants last year, which was 515. So right now, that seems to be a well-subscribed program, because just remember, it has not started yet. The spring swimming lessons just finished last Saturday. And so the expectation is that more registrations will come their way as, you know, classes are over and parents start sort of planning ahead of the season. The Caymans, the YMCA swim team, rents the pool. They open at 5:30 for them, and they practice until the pool opens for the general public. On average, the team has 50 swimmers. It's an average because that can change, you know, across the season. And these swimmers are distributed across 5 age groups that go from ages 8 and under and ages 18 plus. So again, a lot of our residents get to enjoy the school through different programs in the offering. Do you want to go over the membership numbers?
Can I ask one question? These lifeguards also go to Kiwanis?
Yes,
They do,
yes, we have lifeguards at Kiwanis too.
but from this group?
Yeah, from the 55.
From the
We have
55.
55 lifeguards. for the
Okay.
town.
In
Yeah.
total.
All right, thank you.
Yeah, and one thing to mention is worth it, as we got the update from the YMCA, a lot of their coaches are also lifeguards at the YMCA. So, you know, they're really very well trained, and that's, you know, another layer to that. It's nice to mention.
Question, what's the, of which individual memberships mean in your counts? 2,533, what is that?
So I did a little bit of a, when I can see that, because I collated 2 charts from John. So we sold, for example, let me take the first number, 575 family passes. Now, families have different number of members, and so that represents 2,533 members.
That's your, that's your,
Right, John, is that correct? And
that's your.
No, that's through June 7th.
yes, that's up to June 7th, so that's the number.
No, but that's an estimate, kind of like family pass, like the ring sells family passes, but we don't know how many people they might have.
It's
We
like,
don't know-
yeah,
we
I
don't
think
know
it's strange. So whenever I register my family, if I go to a class, all my kids, myself, my husband, all my kids are
In the house.
in the system. And in fact, as I try to register for different offerings, depending on the age groups, not every, you know, some of my children are sort of maybe not made available, so we just select a program. So the database is very dynamic.
Real
numbers. Okay,
It's, yeah,
so there are about 4.5 people per family.
yes, yeah, that's exactly the
The
nothing.
big families that sign up.
That's why we bought a family. pass.
Yeah.
All be in one place at one time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is.
You run the numbers and say, yeah, we're signed up for family.
Right.
Yeah.
You'd be surprised how many people want to
Yeah,
go
we'll
it out with them.
You know, forget it.
So in the numbers that Melanie extrapolated from the data that we got from John's office, I mean, you can see that compared to 2003 at the end of the season, we are at 79% of the family passes that were sold throughout 2023, and we're just kind of just getting started. Like I was joking, but serious with Melanie that like we're still gonna get our family pass for the pool. So you can add us to it, maybe that would. So maybe it's like 80% of the meeting, but.
It's still very early.
Yeah.
So like, you know, case in point, those numbers will go up. I mean, for early June, it's been very close to the full amount from last year for both the family pass and then the individuals, which is just every single person that's accounted for, including the family passes, is at 82% of what it was, you know, by the end of the 2023 pool season. So they're doing quite well with sales this year. And so that was kind of one of our takeaways from our meetings with John. And then the other thing I would add to it was the Y works very seamlessly, well, I think pretty seamlessly with with Banco Pool in that they bring in their swimmers to do their lessons at 5:30 in the morning. And the pool opens at what, 11 o'clock during the weekdays? So they're in doing their Y thing, they take control of it, all right, and then they're out, and then there's some amount of cleanup that mostly the Y contributes to taking care of. And then, you know, a couple hours later, the pool's able to open up to the town, so it's all done before, you know, the town-wide passes are being used, and the pool's open to everyone else, and there's not, you know, any kind of clunkiness or overlapping with the YMCA's lessons and the town pool use, so I think it's a pretty well-run operation. Yeah. Right, any questions from Melvin?
I would say you're.
But, yeah, thank you for this, and school just, I think, just let out today.
Right.
Graduation today, actually, there's school tomorrow.
Well,
Is it
no,
really?
Friday.
we don't
Tomorrow
have
and
to
Friday.
Friday, yeah.
Tomorrow and Friday?
Half a day, Friday.
Yes.
Early Tuesday.
And the graduation was today, wasn't it?
Today,
Yeah.
yeah, right, this morning, will be high school graduation? Yes,
High school graduation.
right, so, well, I have, children middle school and elementary school. So we are pretty busy until Friday.
On Friday, no kidding. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then I think, you know, except then
Friday,
And,
it really begins.
you're gonna get
exactly.
the registration.
Right, interesting, okay. Right. Thank you for this excellent report, really appreciate it, and it's very encouraging to see
Thank you.
the numbers. Oh, Hank, sorry.
I just, who's the head of managing the pool?
Steve Dayton is our,
Steve,
water
okay.
inspector. Yep.
Good.
Yeah.
That's a good job.
Any other questions? Thank you. Now, on to the next, summer sport, tennis, tray ball.
Yeah, so, as usual, I'm a little slide happy, sorry about that.
Love it.
And let me pick up from Timothy, you see the seniors there, 82%, I'm in there. That's me. It's me, and Francesca's probably an adult. You know, not younger. And you see the numbers are pretty great, it's dominated by residents, but we have a few non-residents. I can tell you I play at Mead Park like 3 days a week. And I look around afterward and it seems like every court is in use, every tennis court. And by the way, every pickle court too, when we get to pickle, it's doing great. It seems like we started family passes. And so on the next slide, I show the numbers from 2023 and two sets of numbers. One are the ones that were the meeting almost exactly a year ago today. And so you can get that direct comparison, and then the full year. And so as the point that you were making is, we're just getting started in the year.
Right.
And so you can't just, you know, take these numbers, but still, even though the numbers are slightly down, the numbers are just great. We have 284 total passes that have been sold versus 295 at the same time last year. This is great post-COVID numbers, and we expect them to ramp back up to where they were for the full year. 317 people have signed up for adult tennis lessons. I mean, think of that, 317 people in a town this size. It's amazing. 35 classes are underway. 423 have signed up for youth tennis lessons. 54 classes going on. It's just, it's a great you know, it's really a great thing that the town is doing, and that the kids and the adults are able to enjoy and benefit from.
If we can add something, because it's been great for Don and the team, they really managed to come up with a very good schedule. Part of that is coordinating activities and where do you send out the kids and making sure that still makes sense with their school hours, and they did a fantastic job. I'm only adding family members to the tennis program in town, because it's not just excellent itself, but it's also easy, and it makes sense, with all the school schedule.
Totally agree, and they did a great job getting the courts done at, pretty
It's
good
tough
time.
for a wet spring.
Yeah.
It was no fun this year, but
Yeah, but they still got the courts up and running, and of course, we've been blessed by this great weather.
that's the key.
So, I mean, people are out there and enjoying it. So moving quickly along to our pickle update on slide 3. You know, again, you look at these numbers. Again, we have the new family passes, and unlike yours, I don't know how many children and, you know, parents are really participating with the family members. But still, when you take those numbers, we have 317 total pickle passes this year versus 262 at the same time in 2023. So that's a huge increase. That's like a 20% increase. As you see in these pictures I have of the paddle courts, every time I look up there, the courts are full. They're all going. It's great.
Keep mentioning quick question.
Sure.
When you list here, this is all residents.
Yes.
Are pickleball classes open to non-residents?
No,
Not at all.
yeah, not at all. We have too much use is our biggest problem.
Too popular.
It's just
Yeah.
way too popular.
Very interesting.
Yeah.
And that goes to tennis also.
I'm glad you brought that up.
And
Because
it's
I
not
think
as much.
updating this chart to just not even having a resident mentioned, because it's gonna be all resident.
Right.
Thank you.
Okay, and again, when you think about this number of usage, 315 people, you got 5 courts, there's only so many hours in a day. I mean, when I talk about these courts being fully utilized, every time I'm there, they're like totally utilized.
Right.
So we are, you know, pushing the barrier about having more courts. I know there's a certain demand. But I don't want to get into that. Again, 139 people have signed up for pickleball lessons. 18 classes are underway. And I just think that's exceptional for a town this size.
It's good.
And I've included this for comprehensiveness on the next page, with comparison of the numbers for 2023 that John provided. And again, you know, you can see the exact opposite, you know, the ones that are almost exactly a year ago. But look how much those, we can expect those numbers to grow as we get to the full year.
Right.
So these 2 programs are going great, the courts are great. I didn't mention anything about like the new slate,
Patio.
patio that they've created, which seems to be a big success.
We have some benches on order,
Yeah,
supply chain issues, just.
yeah,
waiting for-
and I know we're working on a new kind of tennis, paddle, pickle hut.
Working on that in a new parking lot,
Yeah,
The parking lot, is that, designed and
not completed.
it's gonna come before us, before it goes?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
It's gonna be in the
That's
same basic
exciting.
location, but there's not enough parking. It's big.
Where did you, I know that there has been sort of much conversation about pickleball at Wayne.
but I can,
Do you know that, where that whole,
I don't blame.
Right now, there's still loose conversations about it,
Okay.
but we're looking at trying to put it into next year's capital request. So
Okay.
that if it's approved, it would be July 1st of 25.
25, okay.
25, so.
Okay.
And our initial thought is, it would be 4 pickleball courts. But we're also looking at a new system that is where you can convert a paddle tennis court to pickleball
No.
for the off season only. So we could
That
do,
service is just,
no. It's a tile system that goes down on top of the surface.
Okay.
Completely changes it, and changes the net and everything else.
Right.
And it's not something you can pick up today and put back down tomorrow type thing.
Right.
It would be, installed at the end of the paddle season. And we wouldn't do all the courts, because there are people that play some paddle in the summertime, not a lot, but every now and then there's people.
That's,
That could be
that's
great, I think.
really interesting too.
So,
Paddle and stuff
Yeah.
as
Mhm.
well. But, I have a question for you. What is in our, budget surplus right now?
budget surplus.
Yeah,
I don't know what you
fees that
mean.
people have paid in for the tennis,
I couldn't even,
permits. and
I
that.
couldn't even tell you. That goes into our self-sustaining fund. So. Yeah, we don't get great updated numbers all the time, the way it revolves through. But come July 1st, there should be $100,000 removed from those funds and put into, the town's budget for, help offset some of the administrative costs.
The Parks and Rec Administrator.
Yes.
And the lights actually, are they gonna be, working?
They're up,
7 and 8?
they're working, they're up and working now. Yep.
Well, my knee, I haven't been able to
Yep.
play, so.
Yep, there's a timer there that, it still shuts, I think it shuts off at 10 o'clock. Okay, yeah, and you can go on, and you can turn a timer on, and it will stay on so long and then shut off.
That's great,
So,
good stuff.
Just for my own edification on this, it seems like they're getting unbelievable usage, which is great. How does one get like introduced to this? Are there open times where people can come and meet other people, or, I mean, how does that work?
There's an app that is called, Team Court. And there's a New Canaan group. And if you get on that app, then you can meet people who are beginners or intermediate, or just wanna get around with their kids. I mean, you can meet people that way. So, I don't know if that's published, but certainly everybody who
Yeah.
plays knows about
I
it.
think maybe we should.
I think it's called,
There are,
I swear, I've
other
been
than-
out of this for so long.
there's various groups, there's in men's club, if you're 55 or older, then you can afford $75 a month to join that club. Then, we play 3 times a week, that we have reserved court times, and you can kind of play at any level. At the, basically.
They just, you automatically reserve the courts in advance and people just show up.
Yeah, and we have.
So they don't necessarily sign up on the town.
Exactly.
They got it,
But
okay.
then when they're there, we do sign up to keep a
Right.
record of how many people are using it. And we get anywhere from like a low of 8 to a high of 17 to use the 2 courts, so. but we-
That information would be great if we could compile it.
Well.
Because
when
I
we get
had
into
class
like
meetings.
there's weekend groups, they're pretty much always looking for members to, to. have-
we also highly recommend you try one of our programs.
They're all, well, the best.
It's true, I know.
Meet a lot of people.
The other one is
Great,
just
okay, so it seems like it's
Right.
flourishing without.
get on the list, but we're always looking for members. really.
Yeah, okay, great, great.
Yeah.
Do that before you even buy a pass, to see if you like the sport.
Yeah, great. But there's other groups that must say that just like when I'm like playing on Saturday and Sunday, which I do often, they're like certain foursomes, which like they're out there, certain times every weekend. And maybe they'll have, they don't have like we do, like a 5th member who checks in. They get their 4 out there, and it's very organized. And I must say, more competitive than the groups I play with. But, if you just, you exert a little effort, you'll just go down there, by the way, and walk around, and you'll probably find someone to say, hey, can you join?
No,
us?"
I've been asked by people, that's why yeah.
All ages.
Yeah,
There's a, bulletin board. You can put up and say, I wanna play, and, a little card in there with your number, and people will call you.
Hank,
Yeah, John, I wouldn't hold you to this, but awkwardly, in 3 years, 5 years, how many pickleball courts should we Canaan have or could sustain?
Yeah, I
Seems
think,
like, it seems we were gonna have this conversation
tough
next
to
year
figure.
and the year after.
Yeah, You know, the growth, at some point in time, we're limited on the number of people that are actually gonna play. So right now, we don't have enough courts for the number of people we're gonna play. Similar to tennis, you know, the tennis courts are busy, but they're not packed all the time. You can still find time out there. Pickleball's a little bit tougher. I think if we had 4 courts with lights, because we could put lights up here at Waverly, you know, where we could start early in the morning, something Francesca was talking about, and go till 10 o'clock at night.
Right.
I think they'll be very well used.
Well, and if you convert those, paddle courts, to
Mhm.
pickle courts, that would be fabulous,
Right.
you know, because they sit there empty and unutilized, most of them, during the whole off-season.
We have, it's very early. We received advertising. We asked the company, we said, we need to go look at it and see. And we're still waiting to hear.
Yeah.
They say there's one court very local to us, but it's on a private residence. And they're trying to get permission there.
I just want to say, we don't want to get too ahead of ourselves. I was around for the racquetball phenomenon.
Yeah.
Swept the country. I was huge in racquetball. Everybody was, they were,
Yep.
every YMCA. You think, you can't even find a racquetball court anymore.
That's true. Good point. Yeah.
But I mean,
Yeah.
but tennis was there, that it still is,
Mhm.
you know, we'll see how long pickle lasts. I suspect it has a longer thing, but we'll see.
The weather has helped us a lot too, because it's been available year round.
Mhm.
Right.
We haven't had a lot of snow or ice.
Good point.
That first year they were built, we were playing right through Christmas.
Right. True.
Yeah.
Any other questions for Keith or Francesca on this topic?
And let me bow to Keith, who did all the work on this.
I joined it all the way. I just made the slides. I can do that in my sleep.
Well, great job and very encouraging report. We appreciate it. Thank you. So next on the agenda, John.
Oh, okay. Well, I don't have much, but the biggest news is, this spring when we went to start up corn as well, it was shot. So we are late filling the pond, and at tonight's point in time, I don't think we're gonna be able to open this weekend. So we might have, it might be Monday or Tuesday, it all depends. We need to get the pond all the way up there. We had the well company come out, they determined that the pump needed to be changed, so they actually did it that day. And we are backfilling the pond, and injecting the chlorine into the system, but we're just not ready. As of now, we're not ready this weekend.
Right.
We'll know a lot more tomorrow afternoon. Other than that, you know, the guys are going from mowing, getting ready for graduation that happened today into mowing the fields for the fireworks and all that prep work, and summer camp starts on Monday, so, you know, today the tent went up for summer camp and picnic tables and all that stuff. So it's been a very, very busy spring maintenance wise. Ryan's still working on the playground, plugging along with that. This summer, the new fitness equipment should be coming in. We'll have that installed. All the improvements are in place. Summer concerts start next week. So,
That's great.
yep. We had a women's pickup soccer league that went very well. It's finished. Of course, tennis and pickleball are in full swing and everything else. And other than that, if anybody has any questions?
I have a question for us. It's kind of a bummer to be having our meeting when the concerts are out there. We move our concerts to earlier for the months that the concerts playing.
The answer is we have to go to, because we moved this meeting from 7:30 to 7.
I know
Like
that.
in the chair. We would have to put that on the agenda. We would have to vote on that.
Yeah,
Of course.
because you've approved the years you've approved the schedule for the year.
Yeah.
Okay,
It's
well,
really,
Talking about the July
it's
meeting.
the July meeting, yeah.
So-
We wouldn't be able to change it because we have to put the agenda.
okay.
So,
All right, well, going forward.
I'll try to keep the July meeting as short as possible so we can run.
Thank you, Are you handling the umbrellas for the tables at
Mead Park at Apple Cart,
yeah,
yes.
So how are those coming along?
They're coming along. They're coming along. We'll have them there soon.
Cause like half the tables have umbrellas and the other half don't. And, then obviously the half that do, and the tables are getting filled up right away.
Right.
Yeah, yes, we're working on it.
I was just wondering what happened to the tables from the umbrellas from last year.
Now, they fell apart. That's part of the problem. They don't get put down as well as they should. I really don't think we should have to, the taxpayers should have to fund the cost of replacing umbrellas
Yeah.
at somebody else's snack bar, but.
Right.
Yeah,
I agree.
But-
it's ours now.
Our snack bar, right. But when you have a windy, stormy night and the umbrellas weren't put down and they get destroyed, it's depressing for the guy that has to find budget money to replace.
I hear, but Iman has a limited control of what people are doing with those umbrellas. I've been out there and they've been closed because there's a wind and people are opening.
Umbrella, please.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Any other questions for John? Thank you.
Sounds great.
My report is very brief. I just got 3 quick items. For 4th of July. Hopefully we'll see you all there. It'll be, date is Saturday, July 6th, rain dates, Sunday, July 7th. And then the alternate day of that weekend to wash out is Saturday, July 13th. John, his group has worked tirelessly to, I think, make this a great event. There's gonna be hopefully a new, added with the drones.
Yeah.
So that will be a lot of fun. I'm going to talk about it because they just got FAA approval, so,
Yeah.
Great.
yeah.
So more to follow on that, looks
Yeah.
like.
So, but it's a neat idea, like 100 drones with lights and,
I
so,
love it.
yeah.
I love it.
But fireworks will still be there too, so please come. Secondly, the code of conduct policy, which, Lindsay, Hank and Doug have been working on, Deanna Carlson reviewed it, made some comments, and we made some edits to it, and then it's now in the hands of the attorneys. Hopefully, my goal is to try to get you all for final approval by the September meeting. I think July would be probably a little too aggressive. But I will, keep pushing, because I think it's an important policy, because what we've had really beforehand is really just patchwork, okay? Different rules and groups. This really is a uniform policy that everybody can understand. And it's a blended policy and also existing ordinances as well. We talked about ordinances tonight, okay? And I think the beauty of it too is it gives us a lot, and this group, as well as future groups, a lot of flexibility. If they need to change or amend, they can do so. So that's why we don't want to turn it into an actual ordinance, because ordinance is then of the law. And then last but not least, our next meeting will be on July 10th. And then we won't meet again until September. Yeah, so, is there any other business? Anybody, on the Zoom? Okay. No?
It's done.
Any other comments or questions? Is there a motion to adjourn? Thank you. A second? You, both second. All those in favor? Great job, everyone. Thanks.
Thank you, Doug.
Under an hour and a half.